Thank you very much. I am going to share my screen. So just give me one moment. Okay, can you see those?
Yes.
All right, good. All right, I'm going to move through these. For those who saw the number of slides on there, there are a lot of slides. We have not met in 6 weeks, but we are going to move through them as quickly as we can. We just want to get everyone caught up with some of the things that we've been doing here. So here's the agenda that I'm going to follow. I do want to just acknowledge that we had National Police Day. International Overdose Awareness Day, National Preparedness Month is the month of September, and of course, Hispanic Heritage Month started yesterday and will go through October 15th. I want to congratulate Kiana. You all can't see her, but she is our new deputy clerk, and she's in there with Nate Gronendijk, Kiana Taylor. She was our aging and wellness services coordinator. She did a great work there, facilitated trips and did all kinds of wonderful things for our senior community. So we are going to miss her in the role, but she is moving over, or she has moved over. She's actually been there probably about 3 weeks now, and maybe a little longer as the deputy city clerk. I also want to congratulate her because she is the vice president of PGCMA. Kiana really has a lot of qualifications. This is a really good fit for her, and we're just really happy to have her. Her and Nate are making a great team in there. And we've got some new police officers that I'd like to acknowledge. Whoops, let me go back. Sorry about that. Private Coleman, he worked with Howard County. He worked and also in George Washington University Police Department, 12 years in law enforcement. So we're excited about that. He wants to continue his career in Hyattsville. So as always, we are happy to take officers who are dedicated and committed to building communities and keeping our communities safe. Outside of work, he enjoys spending time with his family, watching movies, and playing sports. We also have Private Tabe, Solomon Tabe. He was born in Cameroon, and during his teen years, he was raised in Hyattsville, attended Northwestern High School, and he enjoys spending time with his family, playing soccer and working out. And finally, Private Kamara, Sekou Kamara. He moved to America in 2008 when he was 19 years old. He graduated from Parkdale High School, and he spent most of his time here in Hyattsville and Riverdale. And so he attended Prince George's Community College and majored in criminal justice, speaks French and two other native languages. He loves playing soccer and lifting weights and spending time with his friends. So we are happy to have all three of these officers join us. They are the majority of them. Two of them are now in field training, and one of them will be starting field training soon. So you'll start seeing some new faces on the street. Oops, what happened? Okay, and Jim, many of you may know Jim Bathurst. He's our new communications coordinator for Hyattsville. For those who remember Brian Perez, he replaced Brian Perez. He grew up in Baltimore. He lived in DC for a while, and then he and his wife Corey have 4 years here in Hyattsville. He's worked in the fitness industry for over 18 years, and he focused on marketing and video production. So when he's not enjoying, as he says, the amazing food and music right here in our own city, he likes to get outside and do some outdoorsy things like hiking and kayaking. Okay. And we have three new interns. We are really thrilled to have interns. It is very difficult many times to take on interns when you have a heavy workload because they need the benefit of learning and professional development and expertise and experience. And so it requires the staff to take time to develop them and mentor them and work with them and supervise them. So we are thrilled that we were able to bring in three, one for GIS. That's Dana Cook. He's got background in geospatial analysis, and he's going to be in economic development. He has a master's degree in geospatial analysis from University of Maryland, and experience in data management and analysis. So he's looking forward to working with us and contributing. He lives in Silver Spring. We also have Dawn Bowles, who's going to be helping us with environmental initiatives. This is part of her Master's of Public Health degree. through the University of that she got, University of Alabama at Birmingham. Her and her husband have been residents right here in Hyattsville for over 15 years, and she volunteers monthly for the invasive removal sessions that we do, invasive plant removal. During her internship, she's going to be working primarily on mosquito control initiatives with Dawn. So we'll have two Dawns working in environmental. And Alexis Martinez-Barragan, he's in finance, and we're really happy to have him. He has two sisters and a brother and a pet, and he says he loves being a part of a family and the importance of working right here in Hyattsville. His parents were hard workers, and he wants to do the same. So we're excited to have Alexis Martinez-Barragan join the finance team. He is very grateful for the opportunity to work with Ron and Natalie and the accountants. All right, and it was National Police Women's Day, and I just want to shout out our women in the police department. They are really exceptional, and I use the word remarkable because these are really some wonderful ladies who have really contributed to the safety and well-being of our community. So from our Deputy Chief, Laura Lanham, our Lieutenant Gray, and all of the great sergeants and corporals and privates. And of course, our K9 NOLA is also one of our police women, or police women K9. Police. No, I can't get that right, so let's keep it moving. However, we also have one that's missing. I think it's Kelly Hernandez. She is not shown here, but I do want to shout her out because she's wonderful and does great work. All right, this is just this is kind of a good news story. This is just our code department out there trying to make a difference in the community. So they created a little future entrepreneur badge, and they found some kids out there selling lemonade, and so they gave them the future entrepreneur challenge coin. So we thank CJ and the code department for just the creativity of that. All right, businesses. We are also trying to do outreach to business. I did hear the question from Mr. Marshall on businesses. And so we are continuing to do outreach and visiting our businesses regularly. So we take our new business and economic development person is Renee Harris. And she's been going out visiting businesses and just checking in with them, seeing how we can help, letting them know about the grants. So we did have a lot of calls, but the grants that were received were that we approved were all the grants that came in. But I just want to show the list of businesses that she went to over these last few weeks. And she was out today went out this afternoon to visit businesses. Just very important that they know who we are and that they know how to reach us and and we can figure out what we can do for them and what their needs are. So I do want to just point that out. Disaster Preparedness Month is this month. That's that slide on the left that talks about water, food, and medications, personal care items. That's just a checklist to remind people that for disaster preparedness to make sure that you have the things accessible that you may need. Okay, and we've been doing quite a bit of collaborations. This first one on the left-hand side was this recent meeting with Maryland National Capital Parks and Planning officials. They came out to the Northwest Branch Trail, met with Councilmember Solomon and Councilmember Haga, and some of the members of the staff went out there, and we just walked the trail. Park Police also came out, and Councilmember Solomon addressed a lot of the needs that we have, the need for more waste stations, for signage. He addressed trash receptacles, lighting, some of the violations that we've seen out there, some of the illegal farming. And so the Capital Parks and Planning has already been responding to some of the concerns and addressing those needs. I believe Councilmember Solomon mentioned that we already have waste stations going up. So we're happy about that collaboration. The second collaboration was just recently as well. This was last week. Prince George's County Health Department selected Hyattsville as the partner to work with Maryland's Office of Overdose Response. The governor appointed a new special secretary for overdose response, and that secretary came out with a large group of health department planners, and they wanted to meet with the staff to introduce some new policy changes at the state level. They heard our concerns regarding drug abuse, opioid overdoses, the unhoused. They observed some of our food outreach programs and treated the staff to lunch, where we learned a little bit more Our youth services team came out and talked a little bit about Narcan. Those changes have already been made. I do not know if the legislation has been released, but what they did say is that they are removing the age restriction from Narcan training. So let's see. And other than that, the one other thing that they asked us to do is to be a pilot for the Narcan Train the Trainer. So we are the only community right now that will be the pilot program, the only Maryland community that will be a Train the Trainer program, so that we can reach out to bilingual members of our community and train them on Narcan. And we are doing this with volunteers. And so we're really happy that so many members in the community and staff came out and volunteered their time to train on Narcan so that they can train others. Also, a Resource Cares Day, a Hyattsville Cares Day, Resource Day was just this past Saturday out on Hamilton Street, Queens Chapel town area. That was really, really successful. I just want to kind of shout out the Geared Learning Cohort. Everyone else that went to this Geared Learning Cohort a year and a half ago did a project and it was one and done. And once they did their project, they kept moving. Our team picked up the responsibility of some of the challenges that we see out in Queens Chapel with homelessness and addiction and mental health areas, financial challenges. And they continue to work on that. So over 75 people came out. We had lunch. They engaged with partners, and you can see the list of all of the nonprofits and partners that came out and really talked to some of the residents about mental health help, housing assistance, legal assistance. So it was a really good day. That picture there on the left shows some of the cohort members, of course, led by Shakira with Kiana, Reggie, and Priyanka and Laura Reams. So really, really thrilled about the work that they continue to do, and they're really invested in this. It is important that we help our community. They also were able to get showers while they were there. I'm going to turn over to Leslie and Hal so that they can address some of the questions you asked about the Teen Center and King Park. But I do want to acknowledge that we finally have our solar power system up and running on the DPW building. That was all grant funded. So we just got that up and running this week. So Leslie, if you want to take it from here, there's a few slides in here for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so yes, our gas-powered leaf blower initiative, basically these are the stats that we got back. I will say that our first couple events were probably the most popular and had the most people come for trade-ins. So we did our last one, I believe, this July. Actually, it's August. And so it was pretty successful. I think the tough piece of this is the enforcement. We're getting lots of good questions from folks. And there is some information on the slide on who to go to and informing code compliance and letting them know when they actually see. It is not an easy thing to actually catch somebody, because they're usually during, again, it's a call in, and by the time we're able to get an officer out there, typically those people are either gone or they've stopped using their blower. So, so far so good. And again, the rebate period is over and it was fairly successful.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that, of course, code is out doing inspections and other things. And so if the call comes during duty hours and they can get out there, they will. But if not, that My Hyattsville app is the same as what was See Click Fix app. So they can report it there. And what we want to do is continue to educate. So even if we're not able to catch them, we can provide educational materials and remind people that they are not authorized here in Hyattsville.
Yeah, thanks, Tracy. Also, they can call us and we will pick the leaf blowers up and recycle them. So they can call in for a bulk pickup and we'll be able to get those picked up.
Absolutely. Good. All right, King Park.
Okay, I think probably the happiest person that this is going to be done is probably me.
Followed by me.
Kidding. So we are almost done. The park so far looks absolutely amazing. I think everybody, including the kids, are going to be very pleased with the new playground. We are working on completing the landscaping. I'm actually glad it went a little later because we did and continue to have fairly significant drought conditions in the area. So I think the later these plants go in, the more success they're going to have through their lives and through next season. We will be reopening the park some point and dedicating the stone to Officer King. That date is to be determined. I am working with Lieutenant Ratty to see if the family can come. So we will figure out a date based upon their availability. So King Park.
Yeah, so of course that date will be the formal ribbon cutting, the date when the King family can be here. But we plan on opening the park to residents in October.
No, I'm never going to open it. No, I'm kidding.
All right, and Teen Center. We've got a lot of questions on the Teen Center. So
I'm gonna lob this over to Deputy Director Metzler, if you would, please.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Teen Center resumed work over the summer. We had some permitting issues that had to be addressed, and those were cleared up by early summer. The contractor has been back on site. It might not look like much has gone on, but most of the work currently being done is a lot of the underground utility work. We had to move gas lines, we had to move sewer lines, and begin installing some of the plumbing and electrical utilities under the building. This week you should see the structural steel starting to go up for the front wall, and once the structural steel starts going up, we'll start getting a roof on the building and getting everything enclosed. The current schedule has the building being completed and ready to be reopened in about February of 2025.
And I do want to just remind everyone that the majority of this building, in fact, all of it other than the initial purchase, was funded by grants. So the reason that this took as long as it did is because we did not have this in the budget, and so we just kept pursuing grants to get this building open. So we've received, I don't have the exact number, but just a little over $1 million in grant funding, probably 1.5 or so. I'll be specific next time, but we did receive grant funding to get this building up and running.
And Tracy, we also received funding for the exterior. So this building, a lot of this has been literally paid for from different sources and not necessarily directly from the city budget.
Exactly. Good. And some good work happening out in West Hyattsville as well in the roads. Hal, is that you?
Yep.
Sure.
Hey, Robert, go off screen. Off camera.
Sorry.
Mayor? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I haven't left.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So
Go ahead,
I just want to give an update on the West Hyattsville, the Landhurt area traffic calming and street reconstruction project. It's the area behind the Best Way on Hamilton Street between 35th Place and 37th Place. All of the new traffic calming has been installed. All of the roads in the area have been rebuilt. We're about 85% complete. There's still some striping work to be done and a little bit of work in the Gaines Alley area to be completed. But most of the neighborhood is done with a little bit of painting still to occur. But we're excited to get this neighborhood finished and get the streets fully reopened for all the residents.
Super. And I have to give a shout out to Taylor Roby and to Joe Bocultz. They were really integral in getting, and Hal, of course. We all were involved, but they really did a ton of work on this project, just getting everything completed and done. So shout out to Joe and Taylor.
Thanks, Leslie and Hal. Community Services, Sandra, are you online?
Good evening, everyone. It's been a while since we met. So can you guys hear me, Tracy?
Sandra, I don't know if it's just me. She's coming in. I can't hear her. Can anyone else? Is it just me? Okay, just in the interest of, unless Sherry's on, in the interest of time, I'm just going to go through this very quickly. Community Services has had a series of events. Sandra, if you come back in, please just interrupt me and keep going. International Summer Jam was held in August. That was really a great event. Lots of people attended that, and you can see all of the different events and functions that they had out there. But it was very well attended out at Hyattsville Park. And then the Health and Wellness Fair was just recently. It was on September 7th. We partnered with First United Methodist Church, and they do this every year, but we decided to partner instead of going it alone. And we're looking for more opportunities to partner with the community so that we can, our resources can kind of be pulled a little bit. So they had all kinds of dental screenings, flu and COVID vaccinations, and donated boxes of produce for attendees. Call a bus transportation. Sandra, are you online?
I am, but my thing is not working.
Oh, I can hear you now, though. If you want to speak, yep, we're at Call a Bus.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I apologize about that. Yeah. Our Call a Bus just wanted to highlight the wonderful work that our drivers are doing, and also highlight that we now have 2 new buses, which has allowed us to spend the services for medical appointments, for groceries, also for field trips, and enrichment activities that our seniors participated in. So you can see that, and we have been able to do the services of delivering the meals with the support of our volunteers as well. So our programs are able to get more transportation through the fundings that we have with the Enhanced Mobility Grant. Yep.
Okay.
Back to school, just a highlight for everybody, and say a big thank you for everyone that showed up and came to work and supported us during the event, and also the fundraising of the materials. We fundraised over $9,000 to be able to donate over 5,000 backpacks with supplies in it. So we want to thank all the council members, our sponsors, Councilmember Juanica Fisher, our restaurants, Cocineros, Miro Ale House, the Pizzeria Paradiso, and McDonald's Towing, who also donated funds for us to be able to have the back to school event and be a success. Just want to say thank you to all the young people who participated throughout the summer programming. This is pictures highlighting the closing of activities, including our seniors intergenerational activity, staycation, the mental health art program that we kicked off this year. We had over 15 youth who participated and benefited from those art therapeutic sessions that they had. And of course, summer camp closed with a nice picnic and water play outside. Our children and youth programs and community service programs have been out in all the back to schools, talking to parents about the services that we provide and the different activities that they can engage. So this is just pictures highlighting the back to schools outreach activities that the team has done in the past since the school started.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Mayor and Council, you can see that they've been extremely busy, and community members. They've been very busy out in the community. Jay, are you online?
Yes, I am.
Okay, would you take this slide, please?
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The state of Maryland's retiree benefit plan is changing effective January 1st. And the biggest change is that Medicare enrollees, anyone who's eligible for Medicare, which is 65 and older, will need to enroll into a Medicare Part D plan as opposed to being in the state's prescription plan. It is only affecting the prescription portion of the retiree's benefit and not the health component. And it is set up so that if someone is a retiree and they're under 65, or their significant other spouse dependent is under 65, they will still remain in the state's prescription plan. So anyone who is currently enrolled, open enrollment will begin October 15th and go through December 7th. The state has contracted with an outside entity via benefits to help with kind of explaining the benefits of the Medicare D plans and everyone's options. So there are in-person and virtual meetings. We are also reaching out and providing information and support to our own retirees, and we'll continue to do that through the open enrollment process and work with everyone to make sure that everyone has an enrollment completed and effective January 1st. More to come.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it. All right. And then I know Ron is on, so I'm just going to open this up and then have Ron talk a little more about what's been happening. The audits are on the next page, but I know I did hear a few questions about the audits and some of the challenges. And so what I do want to just want to point out is that we were indeed on a good roll. When the treasurer and I arrived, our audits were behind 4 to 5 years. I'm not sure when, but that was years ago when we arrived, about 9-10 years ago. That was a huge challenge for us because we then had to go out and get audit firms to come in. And so it's always difficult to go back and do back audits when you have brand new people in the seat. But we were on a roll doing fairly well with that. And in fact, it was Ron's suggestion that we go out and get a bond rating from Moody's. So we were able to go out and get our AA2 bond rating. We were not aware of any other cities who have done that, but we thought it would be helpful for future borrowing purposes. We then went into COVID, and when we went into COVID, unfortunately, we lost one of our auditors, auditing firms. Again, these are all contractors. We go out and contract for this service. We lost one of our auditing firms. Unfortunately, they decided they no longer wanted to deal with municipal audits. So we had to go out and get a second one because we felt like we could move through this quicker with 2 auditing firms. So we do now have 2, and Ron is getting ready to go on the street and try to get another auditing firm so we can keep these moving. But there is some good news in terms of the audits and catching up. Had we not gone into COVID and lost the 2.5 years in addition to an auditing firm, I firmly believe we would have been caught up. So I want to just talk a little bit, but again, that is not to say that there is not a lot of work involved, and we are working very hard to get these completed. I do want to just talk about the $15 million in GO bond sales. The final interest rate was 5%. The good news for us is that we had initially come to you and requested that you approve $17.5 million. And we did that because we thought that there would be some additional requirements. We were not sure exactly, but we did think that in doing these, that we would have to pay about $2 million in debt service. So we needed that debt service amount added. Once Ron met with all the investors and they did an analysis of our audits that we did have and our budget and some of our other financial documentation, none of them required that additional $2.5 million. They approved it at $15 million. So that was good news for us. Some of the investors have some early call dates on some of their bonds. This is an opportunity that we are going to seize, and we're going to take advantage and go back out and try to get a rating again. Again, it's a huge process, and we physically go to New York, and then we have them come here, and they tour the city, and they go through our books and bonds and our books and our budget and so forth. And so, but we're hoping that we'll be able to get that rating back in near future. I do want to have Ron talk a little bit about some of the questions that he was asked by the investors, because we got a lot of investor calls And I, for one, thought this was really record time. And some of our attorneys and the people that worked on this with us said it was record time for the sale of these bonds. We were able to sell them within the first hour of hitting the market with those agencies that did the analysis of our finances. Ron, do you want to talk a little bit about the investor call?
Sure. Thank you, City Administrator Douglas. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I want to say hello to city residents, and certainly I want to thank citizens for some of their earlier comments in reference to the audits, and certainly that's something that me and my staff, we take very seriously. And again, I appreciate the support, and we're working very diligently to get those caught up. Now, real quick on the investor call discussions. Those discussions, this was a call that was initiated the day before the sale of the $15 million in GO bonds. The call with the investors was specific. It was specific to obviously talking about the city finances, audits, their fund balances, and then just a short update on development within the city. And as we know, development drives revenues. And so the investor call involved numerous investors who had an interest in buying some of the city's bonds, as we know it to be debt, along with their desk analysts. And their analysts are individuals who analyze city, public, and private budgets and audits and financial statements, and look at the trend lines as to, number one, in our case, municipal governments, look at the trend lines relative to revenues, and then you also look at the trend lines for the expenses. And so there was very pointed questions about our city finances as far as revenues real quick. We went through our major 5 category of major revenues. There was some really, really positive input coming back to me from the potential investors. They see increased upward trend, if you will, with revenues associated with property taxes and city income taxes, and knowing that we are almost in full employment statewide here, and knowing what the trend line is for property assessments and looking at future revenues. And so that was a positive discussion with no negative dialogue coming back from the potential investors or their analysts. City expenditures, a very robust conversation, again, looking at the trend lines. There's a clear understanding when you're talking to investors who invest in municipal bonds as a history, and they looking to purchase those bonds to put in their client's portfolio. Clearly, expenses was a key discussion, looking again at the trend lines. Out of that discussion, or during that discussion, we talked about debt service. Clearly, they understood debt service would be going up with the proposed new issue. But at the same time, they also knew and saw that the city also had retired some debt, meaning paid off some debt, if you will, in the last 5 years. And so that was that bode very well for the potential investors. There was some discussions about, real quick, about talking about future budgets or proposed budgets in the out years. Some of the discussions centered on whether or not there was going to be an additional effort to either control costs on the expense side, particularly in the capital budget area, not so much in operations. They understand governments, most of those expenses, 70% or more, depending on the municipality, is in salaries and benefits and contract services. However, on the capital side, we had a robust discussion about any future projects that the city may have in the works from an infrastructure perspective. My dialogue towards that, the whole part of that discussion was we're looking to reduce those capital expenditures in the out years. And so with the idea of controlling expenditures and transfers of cash to offset capital expenditures, which is predominantly paid for 60 to 70%, depending on the project, with cash reserves. The other part is either by notes, bonds, or lease financing. So that was a very good discussion, with the potential investors along with their analytical people. And some of the other issues, real quick, we talked about was the unaudited statements for 22, 23, and 24. I'll talk about 22 in a minute. We talked about the revenues as presented, unaudited. These are systems generated reports, revenues and expenditures. Again, looking at trend lines, there was no negative feedback from them as to expenditures, but very positive on the revenues. The discussion ended with them feeling that we were in a good position, in good shape to control expenditures in the out years going forward, with the reduction of larger capital projects, of which will not be on the table going forward. There are no negative concerns in any of those areas. Now, we talked about the audits. FY22, in good news, I'm on the final draft of the FY22 audit. I cannot give you a date. I don't think that would be fair to give you a date, but I will certainly tell you that we will be filing and posting the FY22 audit along with all of the associated reports before the end of this month. That's good news. We're right there. The FY23 audit, we've already started that process of FY23. I anticipate completing and filing the FY23 audit by the end of this calendar year, sometime between the last 2 weeks of December. I think that's very doable. In the FY24 audit, we will not start. We'll probably start it sometime at the beginning of December, with an anticipation of completion sometime within the first quarter of 2025 calendar year. So somewhere between, by the end of March, we should have that 24 completed and filed. And that would be consistent with the report that this timeline schedule that I spoke to council about in a couple of council meetings ago. And also this is consistent with the dialogue I had with investors and underwriters in reference to the schedule for completing our audits. And so I feel very good about, again, completing 22 here shortly. 23, we're off and running. The good news is I anticipate the way it looks now in the final draft, looks like reserve fund balance will increase again, but I won't get into that number because I want to make sure that we're finalized on where we're going with that, but it looks good. Fund balance discussion was another part of the investors discussion, which was a very good, robust discussion. Fund balances, as we know, is very important. Again, they felt very strong about the history of the city retaining and maintaining a strong fund balance. Historically, we're well over 40% of operations. Moody's has a criteria to where they would like to see municipal governments have at least 40% in reserve fund balance, 40% of general operating expenses. We've always exceeded that. Now, do I think we're going to probably, that probably will go down for us in the out years? It probably will, but that does not mean that I think we'll always be somewhere between 25 and 40%. And I think for this community, I think that's a good goal to have. And so again, good trend lines. They like our trend lines. And most of all of these investors had a very good historical perspective of the city, how the city pays their debt. City's never been late on their debt and pays their debt on time. Very proud of that. And so I wanted to just give you some good feedback from that call with the investors. And that speaks to why the city's issue was a very attractive issue out on market day. The average rate for most of those bonds are right around 5%. And we look forward, as Tracey was saying, we're looking forward for the opportunity to go back to Moody's to get our AA2 rating reinstated. And in fact, in closing comment, Moody's was also on the rating call as well, with a lot of good feedback from Moody's. And so, again, I know the concerns that some of the people out there in the community, but we continue to move forward, get the audits caught up. Again, I'm sure, I feel very good it will get caught up and the city will be looking very good on their financial statements. But I will say this, we have a new budgetary cycle coming up at the end of this year, whereby the city administrator and I will be sitting down with the departments and talking about structuring the FY26 and giving all of the concerns of council members. We're not looking to do a different process, but we're looking at the process of where do we trim expenditures. And I've already stated earlier in this conversation that the key to that is also going to be streamlining and reducing capital expenditures, particularly when it comes to using cash to pay for them. And that will help drive down expense costs. But as we know, salary increases will continue to move forward along with anticipated increases in healthcare. So Tracey, that's all I have to offer for this update. And I'm open to any questions that any member may have.
Okay, I've got 2 more slides, so I'll go through quickly the committee meetings. Most of you can see these, so I'm not going to read all of them, and then we'll turn it over if there are any questions. Of course, Planning Committee meeting is coming up. That's tomorrow at 7 p.m. Flag Redesign Committee, they're moving out very quickly in terms of producing a product. That's also tomorrow at 7:30. Code Compliance is Wednesday at 7:15. Educational Facilities Committee meeting is Thursday, September 19th at 7. Race Equity Task Force meeting Tuesday, September 24th at 7. Health, Wellness, Recreation Advisory Committee, that is Thursday on the 26th. Age Friendly Work Group meeting Friday the 27th. Educational Advisory Committee meeting Monday the 30th at 6. Board of Supervisors of Elections is Tuesday, October 1st. And Shade Tree Board meeting is October 2nd. Most of these meetings are virtual. The majority of them are all virtual unless otherwise noted. And then a few upcoming events. Fresh Produce Distribution is on Tuesday, September 17th. The CERT meeting, Community Emergency Response Team meeting, is Wednesday, September 18th at 6:30. Narcan training is Thursday, September 19th at 6 p.m. And again, Friday, September 20th at 10 p.m. I believe one of these is the bilingual Hispanic Narcan. I don't know if Reggie is on, but he's been doing a really good job in getting the word out and getting these classes going. And we'll continue to do train the trainer.
Yep. For the Spanish class, train the trainer is still in progress. We've not yet begun to teach the Spanish Narcan class.
Okay, good.
We'll announce when it's ready.
All right, beautiful. Summer Jam is this Friday, the 20th, 5:30 to 8:30 at Driscoll Park. This is Hispanic Heritage Month. And then bulk waste recycling and paint collection is Saturday, September 21st. Invasive removal is Saturday, September 21st as well from 10 to 2. And then Hyattsville Arts and Ales Festival is coming up this weekend. That's going to be Saturday, the 21st at 12. And then Hyattsville Cyclocross Bike Race is going to be this Sunday, the 22nd from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I believe that is my last slide. Oh, I've got a few more upcoming events. Healthy Trees Hyattsville is September 22nd. Falls Prevention Awareness documentary and speaker panel is the 23rd. Seniors on the Go, Thursday the 26th. Care Partner Support Group is Friday the 27th. Early Dismissal Camp Day. Of course, that's a new program we've been doing for the last couple of years. When schools get out early, we have camp so that kids can be brought to the camp and parents can continue to work. Teen Exploration Program is Friday the 27th from 11 to 3. Hyattsville Zombie Run is coming up. That's Saturday the 5th of October. Youth Mini Camp Day is October 7th. Free Movie Monday is October 7th as well. And Traffic Calming Public Hearing will be at the council meeting October 7th from 6 to 7. And I think that is my last slide. That is, I'm going to stop share. And if you have any questions for me or any of the staff, we'll take those now.